Okay, so we're going through these marketing articles that you sent, and seems like you're really interested in like how to make something really pop, in a crowded market. I mean, who isn't these days, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. We're just inundated with choices now,
Yeah.
right? And it's almost like just being good, whether you're a company or even just an individual, it's just not enough anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's, I guess, where this whole like differentiated marketing thing comes in. I'll be honest, before all this, it was kind of like jargon to me, just one of those
Yeah.
business buzzwords.
Right.
But now I'm like actually kind of interested.
It's really fascinating when you get into it. It's like differentiated marketing, it all comes down to, I guess, recognizing that one size fits all approach. It doesn't work. It's like trying to, I don't know.
Force a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Like you can't just expect the same message to resonate with, I don't know, everyone.
right. Okay, yeah. So are you saying every single person needs their own like marketing strategy?
Well, not necessarily every single person. It's more about like recognizing these broader groups, right? These
Yeah.
different kinds of customers. And once you understand like what makes them tick, what they're looking for, then you can tailor the message, right?
Yeah.
That's really where the magic happens, I guess.
Okay, okay. So it's less about like blasting everyone with the same message and it's more about being, I guess, more strategic, more like targeted.
Exactly. It's all about, like imagine trying to, let's say, impress a group of investors with the same kind of flashy presentation you might use for like a bunch of high school students. It
Yeah.
just wouldn't work.
Yeah, no, totally. Different strokes.
Exactly.
This actually reminds me because I think one of these articles, it also mentioned the opposite. I think it was called undifferentiated marketing. Is that the same as like just mass marketing?
Yeah, in a way, it can be. It's about, appealing to the widest possible audience with a single message, a single approach. Think about like those classic Coca-Cola commercials, right?
Yeah.
The ones that everyone loves. It just evokes like this feeling of happiness, connection. It's not really targeting like one specific age group or demographic.
Right.
It's about those shared human experiences and emotions.
So that's a good point. Okay. So then, like, how does a company decide?
Like, how do they know, okay, do we go this way? Do we go that way? Is it like one or the other? Well, that's where I guess, the real strategic thinking comes in, right? It's about, really analyzing your goals as a company, thinking about your resources, what you have to work with. But most importantly, it's understanding your audience, right? Sometimes, a broad appeal, that's the way to go. It's effective. It can be really cost efficient, especially if you're working with limited resources, right? But other times, it's much more effective to focus on, specific segments of customers, a more targeted message. And then that can give you a much, much stronger return on your investment.
Okay, okay. This is starting to make a lot more sense now. But, what's interesting to me is like even if you're not some like huge company selling a product, right? This whole like idea of being different still matters, right? Like it's about what makes you stand out as a person,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. It's so important, right? Because whether you're like a freelancer pitching your services, maybe you're an artist showcasing your work, or even just, navigating your career path, right?
Right.
Understanding your strengths, what makes you unique, and then figuring out how to communicate that effectively. I mean, that's so essential, especially in today's world where it's so competitive.
Yeah, like your own like personal brand, it has to have like that it factor or something, right?
Exactly.
So, okay, I'm really curious about these like tactics that companies use to stand out. One that I saw, it was product differentiation. What does that even mean?
Okay, so think about it this way, right? You walk into a store, and let's say you're looking at shoes, and there's just rows and rows of shoes, right?
Mm.
What makes you pick up one pair over another?
I don't know, probably like the style,
Yeah,
color, maybe the brand even.
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Hmm.
Product differentiation, it's all those things, those tangible, intangible things that make one product stand out from the rest, right?
Yeah.
So let's stick with the shoes example. Right?
Mhm.
Think about those like really high-end athletic shoes. They're not just selling you like a comfortable shoe. They're selling like, this innovative cushioning system, breathable material, cutting-edge designs. I mean, even a sense of like status or aspiration,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's research on this. People will pay a premium, like sometimes significantly more,
Mm.
for a product that they feel gives them a unique benefit or experience.
Wow, I never even thought about that. So it's like you're not just selling the product, you're selling like an idea or like a feeling.
Exactly.
That's wild when you think about it.
And it's incredibly effective if you can get it right.
Mhm.
But product differentiation, that's just one part of it, right? I mean, companies also use service, distribution, even their brand image to
Yeah.
set themselves apart.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because we're talking about like making the product itself special, but what about the whole like experience around it? How does that play into it?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's the whole experience. And that's where you get like service differentiation.
Mhm.
It's like, think about a time when a company really went above and beyond for you,
Mm.
right? Like maybe they surprised you with a free upgrade or something, or like they handled a problem you had, but they did it super smoothly. And you're just like, wow. You become like a fan of that company almost.
Oh, totally. Like one time my flight got canceled and the airline, they just put me up in like this super nice hotel, no questions asked. Like I still tell people about that.
You see, exactly. It's those little things, those memorable experiences, that's what builds like real loyalty.
Yeah.
Companies that really get service differentiation, they understand. It's not just about meeting expectations, it's about exceeding them in a way that like surprises people, makes them happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So we've got ways to make the product special, ways to make the whole experience memorable. What else? Because I know the articles they mentioned distribution as like a form of differentiating too. How does that work?
It's pretty interesting when you think about it. Distribution differentiation, or sometimes it's called uh, channel differentiation.
Yeah.
It's all about choosing the right place and the right way to sell your product. Like imagine finding, I don't know, some like really unique item, right? But you find it in like a cool vintage boutique versus like a giant department store. It just hits different. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I know I would pay more for something like one of a kind that I found in like a curated shop or something. It just feels more, I don't know, special.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's about creating that sense of like desirability, maybe even scarcity. Like this isn't just everywhere, you have to know where to look. And then on the other hand, right, some brands, they're all about being super accessible. So they partner up with a ton of retailers to get as many eyes on their product as possible. It all depends.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It's about like knowing your brand and your audience and choosing the right approach. Speaking of brand, we were talking about image before, like the whole branding thing as a way to differentiate. What's the strategy there?
Ooh, this is where it gets really interesting. Image and branding, it's all about crafting a story, a personality for your company, your product. You know,
Mm.
think about a company like Patagonia, right?
Huh.
They're known for like their commitment to the environment, sustainability, ethical practices, all that. So their brand image, it's not just about selling you a jacket, right?
Ah.
It's about like a set of values,
Mm.
and those values resonate with a certain type of person.
Right. It's about like connecting on a deeper level, appealing to people's beliefs, their aspirations.
Yes, exactly. And it can be so powerful. Like when you buy that Patagonia jacket, you're not just buying a jacket, you're buying into something bigger, a movement almost.
I get it. Okay, so we've got the product itself, the service, distribution, branding, anything else? Because one of these articles, it mentioned OnePlus, the phone company. I think they were using like really targeted ad campaigns to reach younger people. Where does that fit in?
Oh, that's a great example of how it all comes together. So
Yeah.
OnePlus, right, they've done a really good job of product differentiation, focusing on stuff that millennials and Gen Z care about, like innovative features, sleek designs, all that.
Hmm.
But then they're also really smart with their marketing, speaking directly to those interests, those values.
So it's not just what you're selling, it's how you're selling it too.
Exactly.
Like they're meeting their audience where they are in every sense. Oh, and another good example from the articles was Lexus. I think they were doing something with like celebrity chefs.
Oh, yeah. That's a perfect example of how a company can use experiences to be different, to stand out. Lexus, I mean, you're selling luxury cars,
Right.
but by creating this whole like culinary experience, they're tapping into something more. It's about luxury, but it's also about, you know, sensory delight. It elevates the whole thing.
It's like they're saying like, hey, we're not just getting you from point A to point B. It's about the journey and we're going to make it amazing.
Exactly.
That's really smart. It makes you wonder though, is there ever a time when like sticking with the more general approach is better? Like we were talking about before with what was it called? Undifferentiated marketing.
You're right. There are definitely situations where a broader approach just makes more sense. I think there was an article about Fine Hygienic Holding. They make like personal hygiene products.
Right, right.
So they were trying to grow and reach a wider audience. And they decided to partner with Amazon,
Right.
right? Using their platform, their advertising tools, all of that. And it makes sense because, I mean, they're not selling like this super niche product or anything. Everyone needs toilet paper and tissues, right? So it's about making it easy for people to find your product, whatever it
Was
is.
like, hey, we know you need this. Here we are.
Exactly. And it goes back to what we were talking about before, right? Being strategic, you have to figure out the right approach for your situation, whatever that is.
It's about being adaptable. This is so interesting. We've covered a lot. Is there anything else that like our listeners should really remember about all this?
You know, I think the thing to remember is like this whole differentiation thing. It's not like you figure it out once and you're done.
Right.
It's got to be like an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
You have to know your audience, know your competition's doing, and you got to keep, refining your message, what you're offering, all of that.
So you can't just like stand out once and then call it a day.
Ex-
You have to like keep evolving or you get left behind.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder though, what are like the biggest mistakes people make when they're trying to like stand out?
Oh, that's a good question. One of the biggest pitfalls I see is people trying to be everything to everyone.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's tempting, right? You want to appeal to as many people as possible,
Yeah.
but then you end up like diluting your message. You know what I mean? You're not connecting with anyone on a deeper level.
It's like if you try to be a jack of all trades, you end up mastering none.
Exactly. And another mistake is like focusing so much on what you're doing, but you forget about the why. Like you might have an amazing product, an amazing service, but can you explain why it matters? Can you explain it in a way that like clicks with people, makes them care? If not, you're missing the mark.
So it's not just enough to be good, you have to be able to explain why you're good.
Exactly. You need a story, a compelling narrative that connects what you do to what people want, what they need.
This is so interesting. And you know what's funny? We've been talking about companies and products this whole time, but I'm like sitting here thinking about my own life, like my own career. This stuff, it applies to us as people too, right? Not just like big businesses.
You're totally right. I mean, in a way, we're all marketing ourselves all the time,
Yeah.
right? Whether we realize it or not.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. We're constantly presenting a version of ourselves to the world,
Yeah.
right? Like a job interview, on social media, even just, day-to-day interactions.
So, like, how do we actually use these ideas, this whole differentiation thing in our own lives? Like, how do you figure out your own, like, unique selling proposition, especially in a world where it feels like everyone is so talented and ambitious?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it starts with, like, really knowing yourself. What are you passionate about? What are you good at? What experiences have shaped who you are?
It's about finding those things that make you stand out, those things that make you you.
Yes, exactly. And once you know what those strengths are, what you stand for, then you can start thinking about, okay, how do I communicate this? What's my story? What problem do I solve that no one else can?
This is so powerful. It's like, it's not just about finding a job, it's about designing a life, a career.
Exactly.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like our listeners probably feeling the same way. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Just remember this whole differentiation thing, it's not about being perfect. It's about being authentically you. Embrace what makes you unique. Use it to your advantage.
I love that. So to everyone listening, as you're on your journey, ask yourself, what makes me stand out? What's my story? And how am I sharing it with the world? This has been awesome. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.